We are live. What else shall I say? They're living down my way. For real though. Hey everybody, welcome back. Live to learn to live right here with another episode. So first of all, as you might have seen, I've been back in Ghana. I've been back in my dear house, in my dear temple, in this very land with which I exchanged so much. But it's been a little journey that led me here. And today I would like to share with you all this journey. This is actually a very interesting journey. So bear with me and let's go for this little storytelling. So I left you that I was back in India. I went there in order to document and retrace some of the path that I embarked on while I was a young 21, 22 years old. And it was so fulfilling to go back to that track and to see with grown eyes all that my young self went through, that eventually allowed me to live this life and to embark this journey of sustainability, of self-resilience, of reconnection to the land and therefore the essence of our true self. But also I went back there in order to do my second shoulder surgery. So first of all, my shoulders are doing way better. Look at that. Hey, right now, we're gonna get there very soon. So I need to do some step back here in the storytelling in order to share the foundation of the story itself. So I was in Ghana. It's been many years now, working constantly, diligently, continuously in this project. Yes, to create my own realm, but also in order to share it. So the sharing process took much more effort. It was a lot that needed to be created, a lot that needed to be established in order to allow other people to come. The journey was incredibly beautiful, yet the beauty was directly proportional to the amount of challenges that I also faced, especially within the cultural context of rural Ghana. Even though, yes, it's based on a sense of community, especially in comparison to Western standards, yet there's still a lot of individualism, and there's still a huge lack of general support. Regardless if it is people helping, people coming to work in exchange of money, it's been really, really challenging. So this created a lot of solitude in the path, in this journey, that also created a level of exhaustion that I was in need to take care of. I pushed a lot, yes, my mind, but also my body. There was a lot of old injuries that I went through. These injuries started to become more and more influential towards my daily activities. I mean, I had a lower back injury that it never joked. Every now and then it was exploding into a level of pain that I couldn't move. And as well, my shoulders were completely dislocated. Sometimes I was maybe digging the soil and the shoulders pops out. Maybe I was sleeping and the shoulder pops out. I was sneezing and the shoulders are popping out. So it reached a level where it couldn't really handle it smoothly anymore. Once again, this injury took place way before I came here in the land. Yet I could sense that also this lack of support started to influence deeply, yes, the body, but also the mind. And I feel that literally I put too much weight on my shoulder. And so my shoulder couldn't handle it anymore. Yes, somatically, but also deeply internally. And so I recognized there was a must for me to step back, to take a break. Not necessarily from the land. If anything kept me sane during this whole journey was actually this land, was this temple, was this realm. It was the cultural context, the lack of support, the solitude, not even the physical solitude, but the solitude within the vision. And so I felt there was time for me to reconnect to the world and especially give myself time to rest. And that's what brought me back to India. I decided to go to India. I was not willing to go in any Western context. I needed to still be connected to the global South in a way that was different than what I've been experiencing here in Ghana. And so India for me was the right place to go. I was already common. There were friends. There was people that I knew there. In the meantime, there were still a lot of areas that I didn't know. And also as my social media page started to grow further and further, I started to connect also with amazing projects taking place in India, with amazing people. And I was so willing also to connect, to network, to build bridges with these individuals, with these communities. And so to start connecting with these people was also so amazing. Amazing project. I showed you already about Agav, about Lilac Farm with Auntie Anita. It was really what I needed to go through. As I was there, as I was taking my time to rest and to disconnect in order to reconnect, I was aware that in India, the health system can be very great if you find the right hospital, the right clinic, the right doctors, and also relatively affordable. So I was like, let me try to see if I can fix these injuries, these old injuries once for all. And so I can eventually go back to the physical work with more smoothness. And so I started to do a lot of researches, contacting different doctors, hospitals. This brought me actually a little bit all around the country until I found a doctor that should have been the one that should have performed the surgery that actually said, I prefer you going and get the surgery from the best doctor that I know for this type of injury. And so then I went to a whole other side of India and I met this doctor, and apparently it was one of the best in the game in India, if not even in the whole South Asia, and very known around Asia altogether. And was also the one that was offering the surgery for the cheapest price. And I was like, wow, this is such a beautiful coincidence. I'll take it. So yeah, I did my first surgery, was left shoulder. So I decided to put my body and mind into a space of calmness, of recovery. And so I decided to travel up to the Himalayas and to do the first steps of the rehabilitation over there, breathing fresh air. I was in a space of peace, in a space of rest, of pure rest. And so this first surgery, it took place on the left shoulder, took place on April 2024. So then the second one would have been scheduled around July/September, depending how my first surgery would have been recovered. And so yeah, I needed to go for a visa run, and I decided to go to Bali. And that's what brought me to Bali. Many people told me about this space, oh, you need to go there in terms of sustainability and projects, it's amazing, this and that. First of all, let me say, I've been traveling quite a lot around the world. The local of the island of Bali itself are perhaps the most welcoming people that I've met. Incredibly welcoming. Perhaps that's maybe an issue, because this very welcoming is what also welcomes all these waves coming also from the West. And right now the place has been literally beyond gentrification, it's colonization. It's like a neo-colonization in the name of digital nomad, new spiritualism and tourism. It's insane to see how this wave from the West is changing deeply, has changed deeply, and is changing furthermore the context of the island of Bali, the environment of the island of Bali, and how the environment influence on the culture, and how eventually the culture influence on each individual, and also inevitably their spiritual traditions as well. So the episode Bring Back the Light was really about highlighting this topic and to see in which way things can change for the better. And so shout out to Wayan, shout out to Henzo for all the work that they've been doing. If you didn't check that episode, please go and see it, go and check it out, go and sink it in, because it's so profound and so beautiful and so in depth as well. And so yeah, after Bali, it was time for me to come back to India in order to go for my second surgery. And so yeah, second surgery went super well. This was the right shoulder. And right now, check my shoulder out. Hey, they're going, oh, hey. They're coming back in the game, which I'm very grateful for. I finished the first phase of rehab, and right now I'm about to build back all the muscle, all the strength properly and deeply. So we're giving thanks. After the surgery, by the way, I decided to go back to the Lilac Farm, and this time was even more profound. I had the chance to furthermore deeply connect with Auntie Anita, with all her family, with Christina, with all her team as well. A lot of my audience, a lot of my online audience is also based in India. So we were like, why are we not gonna host an event where we can further educate people, share with people the beautiful and majestical knowledge of nature, of ancestral practices. And so that's what we did. So within 10 days, we put a few things together, and we hosted a weekend retreat where 14 people actually showed up. It was so beautiful and fulfilling to see these individuals so interested and so willing to learn, so willing to dive in and to change different aspects of their life. And to keep in mind that India is a huge place, of course, but the essence of their tradition is really based in connection with the land. So all the ancestral practices, spiritual practices are very, very deeply connected to the soil, to the land. Yet, of course, Westernization took over all the global south. And so all the cities in the global south are perhaps the fastest pace ever, especially in a city like Bengaluru, where everybody's just going out there hustling day and night, completely disconnected from the natural realm, completely disconnected from what? From their roots. And so to being able to share this precious knowledge with this precious and majestic individual was so beautiful, was so fulfilling. How deeply they wanted to dive within this knowledge, within this change, was very, very inspiring also for myself to keep on pushing this educational process. And it was a blessing. It was my first retreat, the first event that I hosted outside of Ghana. It was for me a true blessing, especially to having done it with Auntie Anita, with Christina, in such a harmonious and balanced way. which definitely opened up a new portal and a new world of possibilities. And one thing that I must say right here is that literally the encounter with Raga, with Antianita, with Wayan, with Henzo, are literally those encounters that I was deeply longing for, that they were deeply missing while I was here. Those encounters that are not only physically having people around you, but also mentally being able to have this high level conversation, to inspire, but also to be inspired, to be on the same journey and to be able to motivate each other, to push each other in order to achieve even more, to lay even further more foundation in order to push forward this revolution. And so for me, this encounter was so needed. To see somebody, for example, like Auntie Anita was so fulfilling from the depth of my heart, to meet somebody so motivated, so geared, so passionate, full of vision. And it's hard for me to meet somebody outside of myself with the same type of passion about this matter. And so to see somebody like her was so fulfilling. The amount of love that these people showed me, on this path, was so needed. Like Auntie Anita, the first thing she uttered out of her mouth when she first saw me was, "Beta, I love you." Like, "My son, I love you." And the way she said it, the way she was treating me, it really felt like a community that I was so much in need of, that here in Ghana, especially in the rural Ghana, I was not capable of finding. And realizing that this sustainable journey can only be deeply sustainable when it's based within a context of community, especially when you go more and more within the context of nature. So for me to have embraced that type of love, the type of community, the type of support, it was so needed. It was so deeply needed. So yeah, after that, I had a retreat that I was already planning since the beginning of the year, that I was not sure if it was taking place because it was up to how the recovery was going. And I decided to go for it. So the retreat was here in Ghana. I was with Sankofa group. They're organizing beautiful trips up in North California, doing foraging classes, survival swimming classes, mainly focused for people of color. And they're doing such an amazing work. So the facilitators of this group, of the Sankofa group, decided to come to Ghana in order to reconnect to themselves, in order to treat themselves, in order to learn something different also to put on their arsenal. So yeah, I decided to go for it, and this brought me back to Ghana, brought me back here. This was October 2024, and here is a whole story. Let me sip a bit of water, man. So when I left, I didn't leave the land unattended. Even though it could have been something that could work, in the end of the day, the essence of my work was based on creating an ecosystem that self-supports itself, doesn't need any human intervention per se. Yet, having built a natural home, especially within tropical environment, it requires a level of maintenance. If not maintenance, just having somebody walking around the house is very essential, because otherwise termites will come, mice will come, snakes will come, ants will come, everything will come, and this would inevitably deteriorate and destroy even the house. Natural homes, by the way, they're coming with a spectrum of so many different materials and resources. When you do build with mud, especially in tropical areas, you need to be active. That's all. And so I asked Olle, as many of you might know by now, and also another boy that was working with me already for about a year, to just come through, to just sleep here every now and then, to just be free in this environment. I worked so hard in order to create this space, and Olle especially also has been involved with me. I tried to teach him all that I could have taught him, for him also to grow, for him also to preserve this natural ancestral knowledge, and to gain also the skills, like the 360 skills, from natural farming to natural building, natural food processing, herbal medicine, and much more. Right now, the land works for them. I was like, hey, you have access to this couple of acres. You could harvest whatever you want to harvest. You can plant new plants and new trees. You can have new crop. You can do the farm that you would like to do. I didn't tell him exactly what to do. I just tell him, create something. You have the space. Just be creative, be innovative. Do whatever you feel like doing with that. I also left all the resources needed in order for them to be sustainable and to be available, from a smartphone to the bike to the different farming tools, building tools, all the equipment in the house. Everything was just available. I remember right before I was coming back, I was trying to get in touch with Olle, and already then I was already that one was I was crying. I managed to call other people. They called other people that eventually allowed me to be in touch with him. And I came slowly to realize that the guys didn't really come here, and they didn't really care, which is part of why also I needed to leave, because there was not this care. But I didn't know that things could get down to this degree. I remember coming in the house and seeing the house full of holes, eaten by termite, full of mold as well. A lot of the furniture also getting broken, things left unattended on the rain, drying table completely broken down, even mattresses eaten up completely by termite. The roof was leaking everywhere. There was no maintenance whatsoever that took place. I was literally sleeping in a wet bed. Also, part of the roof completely collapsed. My heart was the first time ever since I stayed here, the first night ever, that I felt like I don't want to sleep here. It's not the space that I built. And let's be clear with that, there was not such a need of deep work that was needed. It was just some simple, basic care. That's all. And to see that the care was not even delivered by the people that I trusted the most, the people that also look up to me the most within this community, it felt really like wow, it destroyed my heart, you know? And that was the moment that I realized, okay, I cannot keep on going here for too long unless I'm having the community willing to grow with their vision. In the meantime, what to do? The show must go on. What I could take really a breath of fresh air from was the fact that all the trees that have been planted, they grew so much. The forest actually got activated. All the grass that I planted started to spread all around, and the land really started to, all the vision that I had when I was planting these baby trees, it was literally visible right now. And to see that the work actually worked, and to see that all the trees, despite the non-care, they were thriving, it really fulfilled my heart, on the other hand, and telling me, yes, the work has been done. The work has been completed. This forest is actually self-sustainable. You know, it doesn't need any humans to actually allow this forest and this food forest and medicinal forest to be alive. And so this was perhaps the most satisfying part. In the meantime, hey, people were about to come. The retreat needed to be hosted, and so the show must go on. I think that the most frustrating part was the fact that literally I was only 1 month after surgery and I couldn't move my arm. So I couldn't fix the roof myself. I couldn't fix the wall. I couldn't do it myself. So the fact that I needed to rely on the same people that actually allowed this to happen was perhaps the most frustrating things, but what to do? And so I put myself together and I started to lead and be also involved by being as careful as possible with my shoulder in the refurbishment of the house, of the space, and to bring back the essence of the land. And so after intense days of a lot of our work, the essence of the land was back. The beauty of the land was back. The beauty of the house, of the environment was back. And just to make it clear, Ole is perhaps one of the most genuine and pure person I ever met. Like seeing him growing up since childhood until this phase of young adulthood has been such an honor to see how he preserved his purity, how he preserved his purity. In the meantime, he needs to be constantly, insanely pushed and micromanaged on the daily, on the moment basis. And this is something that I cannot do anymore. And these are notices, something that is not necessarily connected to his character per se, but mainly with this very context of our village right here. Because bottom line, Ghana is in a different space, in a different consciousness altogether. And even people from Accra, when I go there, people recognize me because of social media, because all of that. And they're all like, oh, I'm coming and visit you, I will come and check your space, but nobody really shows up. Culturally speaking, different things are prioritized. The material world is more prioritized, that 9 to 5 is prioritized, that AC job is prioritized, and they have all the right to do so. I mean, of course, colonization plays a big part in it. They all the right to adventure themselves and to explore this capitalist world. They all want to everybody wants to have a piece of the cake. So they should have also their piece of the cake and truly and deeply understand what this world is about. I was not born within rural context. I was born within the suburbs of the city. Many people in the West right now, they started to realize how dangerous and how counterproductive this Western greedy capitalist system is. A lot of places in the global South, they're still chasing the bag. And so there's going to be a time where they will realize that the bag is empty. So once the bag is going to be open, then will be inevitably the time where we're gonna reconnect furthermore to the actual wealth of our essence, which is where our basic needs are coming from, which is the realm of nature. So it makes sense. Ghana is just in a different space, and therefore I realized that my work here has been influential, but not necessarily for the local community, perhaps for the local environment. But the local community, even when I try to create certain businesses that surround the context of sustainability, they were not following along because, once again, it's not that kind of a city life context that I'm providing the money from. Of course, I should add much more cultural background in order for this topic to be deeply understood, but in the meantime, I don't think it's something that can be truthfully explicable. I think it's something that just needs to be lived and understood within the rural context of Ghana. And so, yeah, the group came over, such an amazing group to be hosted, very beautiful, amazing people, so willing to learn, so grateful, so joyful as well. And to host this type of people, I'm telling you, is really a deep blessing. We are now pretty much at the beginning of October 2024. I had other retreat lined up for December though, so I still had time to rest. So it was 1 month after my shoulder surgery. I still needed a lot of recovery. I still need to be extremely careful. It was rainy season here. It was a big lack of support, and this was not the right place for me where to have this recovery, where to have this proper rest. I was like, okay, let me go elsewhere. In the meantime, very, very importantly, I was invited to give a TED Talk. By that time, it was very official. It was taking place by the end of November in Capo Verde, in Mindelo. It was an independent TED Talk. I decided to go for it. I've been giving public talks here in the land when people are coming, during the retreats, during the courses. But to do it in the land is one thing, it's very natural. It's just like channeling whatever is coming out from the earth. It's very spontaneous. Even if I'm not talking, people can really see and feel and learn from the environment itself. I'm just translating what nature is already talking about. But to have a speech on a stage with artificial lights in front of hundreds of people, this is something that I never did before. And so I was very excited, also nervous. And so I was down for the challenge, and I was more than happy to go out there and to share all that could be shared, and also to put myself into a scenario where I've never been in order to learn, in order to grow, and to further open new portals and new opportunities. This combined to the recovery process that I still needed to go through, I decided to leave the land and to come back eventually in December to host the other retreats. And then until then, preparing myself for the TED Talk, by still building bridges and creating new connections. I was in touch with many different people around the world, and there were some people also based in New York, upstate New York, that invited me to go there. They told me it was such an amazing place, full of wilderness, forests and mountains. I was like, New York, are we talking about New York? Yeah, they were like, yeah, not the city of New York, but the state of New York. There's a lot of wilderness with a lot of beautiful projects based on sustainability, based in indigenous wisdom. I was like, wow, let me try and connect. Let me try and check it out. Especially knowing the time that the states are going through, many more people are driven towards this knowledge, towards this wisdom, are driven towards that change, are in need of that change. And therefore, that environment could have potentially also appreciate much more the knowledge and the work and the vision that I can share. Little things I know, I'm in New York. I'm in New York City. I'm in Brooklyn. Shout out to Sadaf for having welcomed me so beautifully. Sadaf, she's been doing an amazing work in Haiti with this project called Grown in Haiti with my brother Sydney. Together they've been recreating a food forest, a system, an ecosystem where to reintegrate humans once again back to their nature, especially connected to the wealthy history of Haiti, the wealthy soil of Haiti, and to gain that level of independence as well. Amazing project. I met so many different inspiring people, even though they've been living in the capital of this insane society. They've been working very diligently in order to change the narrative. I ended up going upstate New York. Beautiful, amazing project. I connected beautifully with Herbancura, with Antonia. They're relocating this piece of land, and she started this beautiful farm where she also has courses about natural farming, as well natural building. Shout out to Suani. Networking with this community was so beautiful. And make no mistake about it, we're gonna make some nice, juicy collaboration in this upcoming year. So we talked about vision, we talked about spreading further more awareness, we talked about collaborations as well. And so New York was impressively surprising. It gave me hope actually, because I've seen Last time I was in a place like that was many years ago, and I didn't see any hope. And right now that we are exposed to a type of politics and a reality that it gives even less hope, is just directly proportionally bring people more willing to create that change and to realize that the change will not come from any political party. The change will not come from any type of protest based within the world of the oppressor, but it comes from our willingness to create our own future. And then, yeah, after about a month, it was time for me to go for the tech talk. And so, next things I know, I'm in Cabo Verde. I've never been in Cabo Verde before, and I'm telling you, I was missing out. The beauty of these islands, especially the cultural context of these islands, is the most western part of Africa. Ancestrally speaking, sailors and travelers and fishermen from different places of the west coast of Africa were stopping by while they were going for their excursions, while they were going for their trips. But apparently nobody was really settled there until the Portuguese colonizer brought a lot of people from West Africa as slaves to build up the settlements in the islands. And nowadays we have what we call Capo Verde and Cape Verdeans. These represent beautifully the resilience of nowadays, especially the African resilience with Cabral. It's a very interesting place altogether. You need to go and check it out. As for the tech talk, the organization itself was top notch. Shout out to Adilson, shout out to Liza, Wendy, Naomi. Like really, literally what these people have done in order to put these things together. It's such a tiny island as well. They did such an amazing job. As for me personally, I was crazy nervous. I was very nervous about, oh, what if I'm not gonna be able to talk about what I want to talk about? What if I'm gonna have a blackout? What if I'm not gonna be able to show up properly? All those doubts that even inevitably are based on fear. But guess what? We are only fearful of what we don't know. And this is an experience that I've never had. Therefore, I can only be as gentle as possible with myself, learn as much as possible about doing as many rehearsals as possible, and then just face it and share all that needed to be shared. There were different speakers. There were about 8 of us. And they put me as the last one just to, I guess, increase the amount of anxiety. But also I was low-key told that generally the last talk is the one that might have more influence, which gave me even more pressure. But nevertheless, I was very much ready. When it was my time to talk, everything just came out from the core of my heart, from the essence of the earth. That really, everything just got completely shared in the best way I could imagine. The feedback from the crowd was very beautiful. Everybody were so supportive. And by now, the tech talk should be out. I'm gonna put the link down here. So in case it's not out yet, then keep it up with the update on my social media, especially on Instagram. All that I would like to share with you right now is the title of the talk, which is A Radical Revolution. A relatively controversial title, and that's why I would motivate you even further to go and check it out yourself. After the tech talk was finished, I had the chance to give my time to deeply rest. You know, when I was in New York, was a lot of networking, then preparing for the tech talk. And now I had the chance to deeply rest, the chance to travel around the islands and to just really enjoy the beauty and the essence of this island. Once again, if you've never been to Cabo Verde, you are definitely missing out. Go and check out the space, especially the island of Sintantao. Hey, Sintantao, beautiful connection out there. After this tech talk chapter was finished, it was time for me to go back to Ghana and to start preparing to host the rest of the set of this retreat. So right now it's December 2024. We are back in Ghana. I'm back to host what I knew they would have been the last retreats here in this land. I knew that nobody should have or would have taken care of the land. Therefore, I was ready for everything. Yet, only 2 months passed by since I came here last. Therefore, not much changed. The land was pretty much the same. The first retreat was not here in this land, but was actually up north with Abna in Bolgatanga. If you follow me on Instagram, you for sure know about Abna. If you're new to Abna, then hopefully soon I will make a piece about her, because her journey alone is incredibly amazing. It's incredibly inspiring. Coming from Ghana but brought up in Canada, and then lately relocating herself here in order to reconnect herself to the depth of her traditions, to the essence of the land. She's now building a seed bank. Yeah, you heard it right, but we're gonna eventually talk about this. Hopefully we're gonna talk about this later this year. Basically, we already did a retreat 2023, October 2023. It was a great retreat and we wanted to do it again in December 2024. So I didn't do too much promotion this year for my retreats because my shoulder recovery, all of that. Yet still people showed up, and It was an amazing time. It was an amazing retreat. So the first thing that I want to mention about the North is that it's a whole different culture. It's a whole different culture, a whole different people, a whole different world altogether. And the amount of support that we received up north from the actual community is a whole different deal than what we get here in the South within the Akan culture. Up north is much more community based, is much more unity based. People are honoring much more their words as well. It's a place where reliability can also be found, and high level connection can also be created more smoothly, regardless which pattern of life you're at. This is the first thing that I sense when I go up north. It was an amazing retreat with so much shared wisdom and knowledge and experiences, hands-on experiences as well, and workshops. Like we made shea butter from scratch with no machine, traditional way. We made coconut oil, we made cacao. Also, we spent time in the evening under the amazing baobab and just reconnecting to the essence of the land. It was so majestical, so majestical. The retreat really top notch. Also, we had rooftop accommodation, so for people to sleep under the stars. It was amazing. After this retreat, I came back here in the land. A lot of work in order to regain again the essence. And then after the work was done, we started with our New Year's retreat, which was an amazing blessing. Like all the people that showed up was so tuned, so connected, so aligned. And I was so grateful to having shared this space, to having created a safe space for people to come and to deeply embrace themselves, to embrace the support from one another, to embrace the ancestral wisdom of the land, and to be able to sit and to listen the wisdom of the land. So we did a lot of classes, a lot of hands-on workshops as well, many dances. Hey, we vibed big time, so many dances. And to keep in mind that dance is such an ancient ancestral form of meditation. Our ancestors used to dance as a form of connecting to oneself, connecting to community, connecting to the spiritual realm as well. I'm glad that we can still share the essence and sacredness of dancing along with the majesticalness of the environment. The countdown was literally done in the quietness in front of the fire. It was such a sacred time that we all spent together that I'm very deeply grateful for. After the retreat, it was time for me to jump on the very last retreat, which was in February, which, to be honest, I couldn't ask for a better group to end this retreat journey in this very land with. Everybody were so deeply aligned. We spent time, like the vibe and everything, like all of this last retreat, to be honest, were proper blessing. And this last group was perhaps the representation of this essence and how this sharing process can take place in such a harmonious, smooth, and mindful way. And so, of course, I mean, it's been a great retreat. Let me keep on going. But the amount of work that needed to be delivered from my side that is so directly unproportional to the amount of support that is received is something that cannot keep on going. A lot of you might think that it's such a big operation. You see 500,000 people on Instagram, 500,000 almost on TikTok. There's like thousands of people coming here on YouTube. And so people think that all of this is such a big operation. In reality, it's just me. Making this video, shooting this video, editing this video, hosting the retreat, making the program, preparing the menu, getting the people on board, talking to the participant, hosting the retreat, teaching during the retreat has been all put on my shoulders. So that's why I really put all the weight on my shoulders. And the support is very little. And yes, always here, even though it gave me a headache, even though it disappointed me big time, but it still shows up. It still shows. If I'm here, it shows up. Likewise goes for Auntie Emma, that I've been working with her for so long. She's been giving herbal medicine workshops. She's the one who's been cooking amazing food. Yet there's always a level of micromanaging that needs to come from my side that I cannot literally, physically, mentally support anymore. I cannot keep on doing. The pieces of the puzzle are there. The foundation is there. The action actually is being taken place. But right now, for me to keep on hosting people in this very environment, keep on growing this educational sharing process with other people from all over the world, I need a level of support that really allowed this really work to become actually sustainable. And to make it very clear, this has nothing to do with living in contact to the element, with living of greed. This is okay, we're good with that. Like, this is the perfection, actually. This is what I'm living on the daily basis, and is eventually what I'm trying to share with people. So this sharing process is the process that becomes more challenging. As long as I'm gonna have this lack of support circumstances, it's gonna be super hard for me to keep on going to host retreat in this very land. And therefore, that's why this very retreat were most likely the last that I hosted here. And so yes, this retreat journey came to an end. It is very interesting to see how these holistic, healing, reconnective spaces are mainly frequented by women. In India, literally, there were two men, which were literally the husband that drove their wife to the retreat. And as well, in the one in October, there was one guy out of about 6-7 women. And I feel that it deserves some times of contemplation. In this case here, I don't see it as a random coincidence. If we think about it, we all been living in this very greedy, capitalist, colonial, patriarchal, racist, and oppressive society. In many indigenous communities, like for example here in Ghana, we call Mother Earth Asase Ya. Asase means land, earth, and Ya is a spiritual name given to a female born on Thursday. We believe that Earth was born on a Thursday, and therefore we give her the name of a Thursday, Ya. Furthermore, it's a female name because we see her as a mother, because he reflects all the characteristic, all the feminine characteristic of a mother. Takes care, gives nurturance, creates community, is collaborative, unconditional love. It's not a coincidence that most women born with more feminine characteristic within themselves are attracted, are drove towards this internal earth reconnection, because it ultimately is reconnected to themselves, reconnecting to the part of themselves that has been deeply neglected by this patriarchal and oppressive society. And everybody has feminine characteristic and masculine characteristic within ourselves. Men included, of course, we have masculine characteristic and feminine characteristic. To have this characteristic balance within our inside world and outside world is essential in order to find balance within community and within this interconnectedness and reciprocal relationship with the earth. It's interesting how male and female have our feminine characteristics that have been deeply pushed down. I feel that generally more female are born with more feminine characteristic and more male are born with more masculine characteristic, but that doesn't mean that we don't have them both within ourselves. And I feel that it's more drastic for a woman to feel this call towards her feminine side because it's deeply part of who she is. And so to reconnect to the earth is deeply figuratively and also realistically and also practically reconnecting to herself. On the other hand, men that also have feminine characteristics but also have been pushed within this patriarchal society to emphasize their masculine characteristic and to push down their feminine characteristic, they feel more traction in healing that feminine side. Also because of the pressure brought by society, also because of the distraction brought by society, because everybody needs to work heavily within this masculine and patriarchal world in order to survive. We don't even have the time and the mental space to take care of our inner health and therefore also our feminine side and therefore also our feminine characteristic. So this exchange, this video as well, function as a space from where I can share my gratitude towards whoever stepped foot in this land ever since I started to host retreat in summer 2021. But also it might function as a reminder to all of my brothers that these healing spaces are for us as well. The healing journey is for us as well. As leaders, as men, to heal our wounds is part of our responsibility. To heal also our masculine side, we need to heal our feminine side. That this balance needs to be created within ourselves. And we need to do so diligently on the daily basis. We've been so much distracted to become work machines in servitude of this literally colonial oppressive system. I would say it's time for us to stop to work for that system, to stop the work for the colonizer and to start to work for ourselves, to start the work for, from, and with the land. From a place of healed leadership in alignment to our masculine and feminine side, with our earth, with the feminine, with our masculine, with woman, with community. Reconnecting to the soil, reconnecting to the true essence of our deep self. Wow, this whole journey has been a beautiful, amazing, majestic journey. This is still my home, this is still my holy temple, this is still the space where I can reconnect deeply to myself, to nature, to the essence of life, literally, to simplicity, the key to prosperity. In the meantime, when it comes to the sharing process, I see that it's time for me to build bridges outside of this land, because to gather people, to let people come in here is possible, it works, yet it requires, because of the lack of support, a crazy amount of work from my side. Realistically speaking, it's not that easy for a lot of people to come here. Traveling to Ghana often is very expensive. Visa processes altogether makes it very makes it a little bit more challenging. Not impossible, and I still believe that experience here has so much value and so much effect on the people when they step in the motherland, when they step in this very land. In the meantime, I'm recognizing also a pattern where it's not that easy for people to just hop on a plane and come over. So I see it possibly even more sustainable for me, a single individual, to go out there and organize in different events. This year, I want to be focusing creating collaboration with other people, going around the world and connecting to this online community that has grown so drastically in these last years. For me, social media makes sense if we can only connect real life and especially make real life changes. To me right now, it makes only sense to go and connect to the various people, the various community that I build this online community with, and to share furthermore the knowledge of our ancestors, the wisdom that still echoes within the essence of this earth. I feel that the essence of what I wanted to achieve has been achieved, because in the end of the day, in these 6 years, almost 7 years, I did build this space that became my home, my temple, but also that became that educational center, became that natural spa, became that farm to table, became that natural gym. It became all of that I envisioned for it, a place where to retreat, a place where to holistically taking care of ourselves, where to take care of our body, of our mind, a place where to build community, a place of self-sustainability, a place where we can find our medicine, a place where we can find our food, a place where we can find independence and self-resilience, a revolutionary place. Yet I have to be here in order for all of this to be activated. So I need to have two things: the community, the people that really sees and feels and embeds and sinks this vision. And number two, the natural infrastructures that would allow us to have all the facilities that would run and would welcome everybody very smoothly. And also a very relevant amount of money needs to come this side in order to expand furthermore this vision. And with that, I would like also to reframe the word money laundering. Generally, money laundering has this negative connotation, but I like to see money laundering as a way of clearing money from this capitalist world. Let's be real. Whoever has a lot of money, especially millionaires, billionaires, generally are coming from unethical practices. Forget about illegal practices. Even if they are still legal, most of the time, the wealth that is generated with this greedy capitalist system is coming from practices that are not humanly or environmentally ethical. Myself, I'm like, okay, give me this money. The money that you have, invest them here. Put them here. When I say investment, I'm talking about natural investment. Like you plant a tree and you'll see fruits coming out. This is like a deep, sensical, everlasting investment that will not only last for yourself, but will last for generations to come. Think about how many fruits one tree will generate, how much medicine one fruit can deliver, how many people, how many generations will benefit from the very tree, from where hundreds and thousands of trees can grow from where millions of people can benefit from. This is investment. So I'm like, bring your money here, invest them here, invest them on earth, in the earth, to uplift, to heal this relationship among humans and the earth, which is what keeps us alive, what keeps us thriving. And we're gonna clear this money that are coming from unethical practices and put them back to the soil, back to the earth, back to neglected community, back to indigenous wisdom, back to what deeply, essentially, physically keeps us alive. Establish this healing and holistic space in our African continent, in this very continent. A movement that I see so essential within this cultural and geographical area, and so essential for the revolution of this modern humankind. In order to do that, I need to network furthermore with people. A beautiful online community got created right now. Even this YouTube is growing, yet to meet up people real life is a different deal. So it's very important for me to keep networking, keep diligently spreading this spider web of awareness of natural revolution, of radical revolution, so that eventually can be more of us. We can create more spaces like this around the world, from where we can also be interconnected and also self-supportive. So that's the vision. So now who I'm gonna collaborate with, who I'm gonna be active with, where I'm gonna be this year. I'm gonna be releasing all the official news soon, but as in now, what I can tell you is that I'm still here. You're gonna see me still active for sometimes even here on YouTube with some nice bangers, some nice vibe. And when it's gonna be time to leave, I will go. So far, it's been another day, has been another blessing. Let me just show you the land once again, just to share with you the beauty of this amazing environment that is still glowing, is still doing its things, is still growing, is still giving, and it's still receiving, just like the trees, and we need to learn from nature about this reciprocal relationship. The trees are giving oxygen, and in exchange, they're taking CO2, and we are taking the oxygen. In exchange, we give CO2. And this is not like a law or something that we agreed upon. It's just the natural way of life, giving and receiving, being reciprocal. And this is what nature talks about. Nature talks about reciprocity. And might all of us learn from nature, and might this upcoming journey of sharing bring more reciprocity within myself, within our communities, within our environment, within this world. And so far, you already know what it is. Another banger! Stay tuned. Updates are coming soon, for real.